Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be with you here on Monday afternoon, and just wanted to say that we have more of the same as we come in. I just listened to our governor in Illinois, and he says continuously that we are now 11 days away from the possibility of, in his words, thousands of businesses opening in Illinois. I also know that many of my friends in Indiana have opened today or tomorrow for the first time. I know that not everyone's opening. Certainly Marion County is waiting to open, as probably Clay County is, but I believe Lake County is opening this week. So best wishes to every single person out there. We know that this has been just a tremendous challenge, hopefully once in a lifetime challenge that we've all been faced with. And I think that's really where I want to talk about today, because I think that right now, with quite a few states that have opened and states that have not yet opened, there's a lot of social media buzz. There's a lot of people talking on social media about what's next and what should be being done or what shouldn't be being done. And there's just so many different opinions that are out there. And I almost think that rather than kind of looking and saying, okay, this person says this and I'm going to agree with that, or this person says that and I'm going to disagree, I think what we have to do clearly as an industry is focus on our guest. Focus on the guest that's coming through the door. Focus on the guest that is our staff that comes to work every day in our buildings, and know that their primary responsibility is safety. They want to feel safe. They want to know that actions have been taken that will allow them to be safe when they come to work and be safe when they service guests, and that the guests who come in will be safe in our care. And I think that if we spend a whole lot of time thinking about other things, thinking about whether we agree with this person or that article or what someone said to us in passing, I honestly think we're wasting time. I think we're wasting time that we could have been thinking about, let's do this or let's do that. I know that I have friends right now that are practicing the footsteps of coming back. They're taking a look at how do they come back properly, because it is going to be different. I read a friend who opened in, I believe it was Ohio, someone I've known for a long time. And she wrote, just kind of an FYI for all of those that haven't opened yet. She said this is her reflection after a busy weekend. And her reflection was that, first of all, it's harder than she thought to wear a mask all day. That it's hotter, it's more warm, and also it's more draining, more effort to breathe, and there's a responsibility to be more hydrated because of the perspiration, because of that. She made mention about shifting differently, needing more breaks in a day than what they'd taken in the past. Obviously doing fewer guests than what we've done in the past, just because of the additional sanitation that's required, and also moving just that little bit more slowly because of the cumbersome nature of perhaps of what you're wearing. And so the idea of salons going back and starting to practice, what does it look like? How long are we allotting? If we allotted 30 minutes for a standard haircut and finish, are we allowing 30 minutes now, or have we extended it? Are you going to be shampooing? Are you going to be blow drying hair? Or have you found it a necessity to not do that? These are all questions that still need to be spoken about. I had an opportunity to listen to a professor of and a doctor of infectious disease from the University of Minnesota. He's the head of the department. He's also a lead epidemiologist. And so when I listened to him, the thing that he said more than anything is that no one has the answers. Even when the interviewer asked him questions, he said, I don't have the answer. I don't have that answer. But these are things that we should be talking about. So as an industry, I think the things we should be talking about is not collecting baggage on who's right and who's wrong and why we should be mad at this one and why we should be mad at that one. I think what we should be doing is saying, what if we did this? Would that benefit our salon? Would it benefit our staff? Would it benefit our guests? Or what if we did it this way? So, I mean, I'm giving you hypotheticals, but the fact of the matter is that we're not discussing enough what's going to need to be done. There's some obvious things. I went through the drive-up line at McDonald's for my son Jackson today. And I love it because here on their window is a poster that somebody had made. It was a corporate poster. And it said, here are the things we're doing to help battle COVID-19. And there were 4 things. There were 4 cartoon pictures and 4 titles next to it. And it was washing hands frequently, wearing a mask and gloves, keeping social distance, and I can't think of what the last one was. But there were 4 things that were all pretty, cleaning flat surfaces, keeping the facility clean. Well, quite honestly, I count on McDonald's to be clean. I wouldn't eat their food if I didn't think it was clean. Hopefully the health department has some pretty strict standards that they require of restaurants, just like they have some very strict standards that are expected of salons. What I want to know is, what are they doing extra? What are they doing to take that sanitation to the next level? Because we would all, I think, agree that kind of the 2 levels, sanitation for everybody else, and then hospital grade sanitation. When I hear hospital grade sanitation, I think it's at a higher level. So how do we get from where we're at to something more close to hospital sanitation in a salon? Because we, like doctors, are licensed to touch people and have them in close proximity to us that is within it's closer than the 6-foot social distancing. So we're not going to be able to honor that part. A lot of different things we can do in the salon to honor that, but not when it comes time to delivering the service itself. So what are the things? What have you seen when you've done shopping for essential items that made sense to you? I've seen some plastic, or the plexiglass shields that make sense, and I've seen some that are a waste of time. I've seen some people that took a common item like a credit card machine and have no program in place, none, 0, for how do you sanitize that in between uses. I've seen others with a plan, but not one that works. I've seen others where, and they say this is going to be the future, where they hand the machine to you inside your car, or they hand it to you while you're in line to be able to run your own card. Well, that works fine for them because they don't touch your card. But what about you that's touching that machine that's been touched by how many different people? And how do I know that they are cleaning it, are they sanitizing it in between uses? I've talked to some people who believe that they only need to sanitize their salon in what's a deep clean sanitize once a week. I don't think so. I don't know, but that's just my opinion. And somewhere in there would be a good conversation to have. So what I'm really trying to encourage today is conversation. Conversation with your team. Conversation with your business advisors. Conversation with, if you have an emergency room doctor that you serve, or an emergency room nurse that you serve, bring other people into the conversation and ask for their opinion, not for them to solve it for you, but what's their opinion of what should be done. And you raise situations like, what happens if? We were having a conversation just like that earlier today. And our conversation was talking about should we go to shifts. And first of all, you've got to be sure that the shifts never intermingle, that one doesn't arrive while the other is still here. Who'd have thought of that? You'd think, okay, I want to be seamless. I want the people that are coming on to come on right as the people that are coming off come off. But if that means they're in the same space at the same time, it's no better than if we didn't shift. The other thing is what happens if the second shift comes in and is touching exactly the same things that the first shift touched? Because we know that the virus stays alive on different surfaces for different amounts of time. So would that negate really the value in a shift? When do we need shifts? Are there some parts of some businesses that do not need shifts? That it would be more exposed to germs and to the virus by having shifts than by not having shifts? What about the people that come in your business? How are you going to treat them? We know the people that come in the morning first thing, your staff. We know the people that come in at their appointment time as the day goes on. But what about the people that just come in? I'll give you another example. We've got a mail person that comes in, delivers the United States mail. And we happen to be, as she says, we're the cleanest restroom on her territory. So every single day she uses our restroom. Well, what happens, God forbid, if she is exposed to COVID somewhere along the way, or she's asymptomatic with COVID? And then she uses our restroom, and we've got the rest of our team that's using that restroom. What happens then? So now do we have to have someone on the lookout that says, okay, the mail lady's been here and gone, now let's sanitize the entire area that she was in so that it's safe again? How do you return your business into a safe container again? And how often will you do that? And whose responsibility will it be? And when have we had things like this before? And they start off great. We've got a new policy. Everybody's going to, I'll give you an example. Everybody is going to get an email address from every guest that comes in. Great new initiative for all the right reasons. But we do it for half a day or a day, and then all of a sudden it's not being done anymore. Please understand, when we talk about a safety pledge that you're going to make to your guests and to your team, it's an everyday thing. And you know, Zig Ziglar always said that you have to inspect to make sure you get what you expect. So if it's our expectation that we're going to sanitize our stations in between each visit, who's going to inspect it? How are we going to make sure it gets done every time? If it's our expectation that we're going to have a clean, sanitized chair cloth that we drape on the guest, or a disposable chair cloth that we use on the guest, who's going to inspect to make sure that happens? If we're going to use clean tools on every single guest, who's going to inspect to make sure that happens? Because it takes a while for that to become habit. And so what I guess I'm excited about is that we've got a chance to make those decisions now, to have those conversations, to get to consensus, or get to, yes, salon owners, your team wants you to lead, but they want you to lead in front of them. They want you to lead with them. They want to participate with you leading. They don't want to just read a memo after you've decided, because then there's no buy-in. That becomes the rules of how we do it here. And we want buy-in along the way. And so they want to see you lead, and they want to participate in that. Leadership is inspiring. You know, certainly when Michael Jordan's The Last Dance stopped last night, Terry looked over at me and she said, I'm so disappointed that it's over. I'm so disappointed that it's over. She said, I could watch this every Sunday night, seemingly forever. Because the leadership and the presence and the will and it's black and white, we win or we lose sense that Jordan had was so inspiring. The times where he pushed himself when he had nothing left. The times where he demanded out of others that they push themselves. Some people aren't fond of that, but you know what? That's inspiring. That's why the stats of every player increased. In every game that he played, they performed above average. Not just his team's stats, but the other team's stats. That's why he sold out visiting arenas. Because that's contagious. So how do we become contagious in our thought processes, in our ability to study, in our ability to lead conversations amongst our team that need to be had? See, I think sometimes we get frightened, and there was a time today on my meeting where I said to our team, I said, I got to shut up. I said, because I want to hear you guys. This isn't for me to come up with every single thing we're going to do or every single answer here. This is for you, and I want to hear it. And there's something to be said for that. It doesn't mean I do as many things wrong as I do right, but hopefully I stop doing the things that are wrong and I keep doing the things that are right, so that it makes us move forward. And that's what we all need to do. So this process of practicing the footsteps in the new way, what are we going to learn from it? Are we going to learn that we need 10 minutes in between each guest to re-sanitize the area and to change out our tools and to get a fresh cape that's sanitized and to get fresh towels that are sanitized and make sure the timing is right between when I greet my guest and when I can take them to the chair for my consultation and then take them in for the shampoo if that's what we're doing. I mean, to me, I think a great, just a great debate almost would be, should we shampoo and blow dry or should we not? I'm one that said we should shampoo and blow dry. It's part of the service. It's part of what we do. I was talking with a brilliant person over the weekend who said different. And was very strong in their opinion. I like that. It's not just about surrounding yourself with people that you agree with. It's about surrounding yourself with people who make you think better and think more. And who's that going to be in your team? Who's that going to be? How are you going to utilize PSC's consultants? How are you going to utilize Terry and myself as you go forward and finish out this year? 2020 is probably not going to be a profitable year for any of our businesses. We know that. The goal is to get back to break even, and the goal then is to make 2021 a brilliant year. But there's a lot that's got to be done between now and then. There's additional expense, there's decisions about price increases, not price increases. COVID pricing that you add for the PPE materials as a single line item that goes away if ever we don't have to use those items again. Or do we just raise the overall prices of everything in the salon and go forward with that? How do you bring people back? Do you bring them back on stages, or do you bring them back all at once? Who's in the salon? Is it partial shifts, or is it everybody at once? I've talked to salons that have done both. And to me, it's kind of scary to bring everybody back, because if someone's asymptomatic and they come in and they've been exposed to the virus and it comes out through contact tracing that they were in your salon at such and such a time, are you okay having your entire staff be locked down for 14 days of quarantine and have to close again? That makes no sense. But some people are running that risk. There are still people who think that the whole COVID-19 is a hoax, that it's not real. Believe me, it's real. But where do we go from here? How do we move forward in a systematic way? What are your plans? What are the specific things that you're going to do differently? I can tell you that I dug in over the weekend to the whole PPP, the Payroll Protection Program, because the town hall that I attend every Friday had really raised several issues. The issues that they raised was that it's continuing to change, and it will change. And some of the things that we had hoped would change about it, looks like they will. Looks like the June 30th date's going to be pushed out. It looks like the IRS ruling maybe will be overruled. It looks like the way they figure this 75% that has to be for payroll might change. But after they presented this whole big thing, which was what? It was a conversation. It was a conversation based on things that they'd gotten from various people in high places. But they weren't yet the law. So what they ended that whole conversation with was, if you have your PPP loan right now, you have to be making your plan according to the way the law is now. And you should be documenting why you made the decision to treat that the way you did. So that if it changes as we go forward, again, they're not promising it'll change, but if it changes as you go forward, and the law you lived up to isn't the law that winds up, you at least have justification as to why you did it. I hope that makes sense. We don't want to just go willy-nilly after this thing, and I'm convinced that we can't. We have to pay attention. From the day that your PPP loan was deposited in your bank, and the 8-week period after that, that's when you have the decisions to make with your money as to what you're going to do with it. It's okay to use it not for payroll as long as you don't want it forgiven. But why'd you make the decisions? What was it there for? How did you bring people in? What kind of records are you keeping? I think, as I told you before, for us, we opened up separate checking accounts for the PPP loans. And it's there as it's used. We put in a request to ourselves, a document to ourselves that says we're pulling over this date's payroll and this date's rent and this date's utility cost. And then we already cut it out of the operating account. Now we're going to bring it back and replenish the operating account from our PPP loan. And then we've got a clean transaction that existed. This is what we paid. We've got the checks, we've got the document. This is the money, it matches. This is the money that comes over. Now it's in our operating account because we've replenished, and over here is the balance of our PPP loan. So either which way, we've got it, and we've got it documented. There are big decisions, and this was also talked about in the town hall, big decisions about whether you let unemployment carry some of those expenses. How long do you leave someone on unemployment? When do you pull them back over? When is it best? And the best thing that I can tell you, and I think we said this once before, but they said the same thing. It's really only a decision if you're using your PPP loan to pay people who can't work, who are unable to work from home, and your business is unable to reopen, so they can't work. In essence, you're paying them to stay at home. Reality is, that's what unemployment insurance, that's what unemployment's for. So if you use that as a general rule of thumb, if I can bring them back, I'm going to bring them back, and I've got the PPP loan to help me with that. If they're going to sit at home because the business can't be open and they can't work from home, then I'm going to allow unemployment to take care of that. And that made the most sense to me, and it has as we've gone on, it makes the most sense. So, other than that, I think that you're going to hear a lot. There's an energy that's starting to build right now, and you know we want this. We want to get back to work. That's one thing that's beautiful about our business. There are some people that don't have the same feelings in their heart, that don't have the same anxiousness to get back and service guests and do what makes your heart sing. In the beauty industry, we have that, by and large. People are doing what makes their heart sing. And they want to get back to work. Some are still scared. What are you going to do to help eliminate the fear? There have been some real questions and surveys taken, and there's a lot of data out there that says when this business reopens, will the guest want to come back to it? Well, by and large, salons and barbershops do the best at that. People want to come back, and they're going to come back, and they're willing to come back. Some businesses, like, will you go to a movie theater? Will you go to a pro sporting event? Will you go into a store that has 500 people shopping in it? There's some places that really are going to be suspect as to whether their businesses will be able. Well, what about a restaurant? You know, how are you going to ever feel good about going back into a restaurant? I hope you do. I hope we all do. That's a fun part. That's a simple pleasure in life, to be able to go out to a restaurant. But how anxious are people going to be to do that? It's a good thing to think about. And if you were a restaurant person, what would you do in order to make a difference there? Well, you're a salon person, you're a barbershop person. What are you going to do to make the big difference on how people feel? Because it's still a feeling business. So I want you to think about all of those things that we've been talking about for weeks. I think this is number 26. And God bless you for putting up with me and with Terry for these many Facebook Lives. But some things we just need to hear over and over again. And I think getting ready for this no one was prepared. No beauty school taught you how to handle coming out of COVID-19 and going back to work in an environment where the virus is still going to be around and alive for at least a year and a half more. You're going to be working, and the virus didn't go away. The epidemiologist that I heard said, we're not on calendar time. We're not on clock time. We're on the virus's time. And what can we do to be as safe as we can possibly be? Knowing that there's going to be bumps, knowing that there's going to be setbacks, knowing that there's going to be days where we hear about record number of cases and record number of deaths. And we're still leading a charge, looking into the eyes of our staff and looking into the eyes of our guests. And we've got to be able to tell them, we're aware of that. We may not have all the answers, but what we have is we've created a safe experience for you here in our salon. This is our promise. These are our procedures. You can count on us. And how are you going to communicate that? I will tell you, I've seen what I've seen in social media. I really think you want fewer words that say more frequently. When I see a typewritten page inside a box on your Facebook page or in your story, first of all, if there's too much on the story switches. And you've got to figure out, you've got to go back and you've got to reread it, or you've got to stop it and pause it. But for the most part, it's posts that people are flipping through. If there's too many words in there, it might be the most brilliant thing you've ever written, but it's not going to get read. So how do you make that boom right in your face? Your safety is first at such and such a salon. Watch this site for the things that we're going to be doing to ensure your safety. Opening, such and such an opening soon. Come spend time with us. Quick, easy, boom. Keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. And watch what happens. I think that's the important part. This is not a finite game. This isn't something that started in the middle of March and is going to end at the end of May. This is something that's going to keep on going. And we've got to be ready to keep on talking. This isn't wait until Mary comes back from maternity leave and then the salon will be back to normal. That's not the case. What's going to happen is a new normal that's going to require new attention from you. That's going to require new effort and energy from you and every person on your team. People will do far more than you thought that they would or they could, because you believe they can. But we've got to offer clarity. How clear can we be going forward? So let's take our focus off of what somebody else is doing and whether we agree or we don't. Let's take our focus off of politics for right now and whether we agree with this party or that party. How are you going to make your salon magical using the things that are at your disposal, and come back in a way that's inspiring to your staff and inspiring to your guests? So with that, again, I'm gonna cut off here and we'll be back to you on Wednesday. There's going to be, I think, just some fun, exciting things to update you on Wednesday. I really appreciate the response to the PPE items that you've been looking at from PSC. I know I promised that we would turn up our social media and get that out there, and that started today. And so there's much going on with that. I again want to restate our interest in providing PPE is so that you can open, not so that we can profit. So please know that. We want you to open, we want you to be healthy, and we want to be doing business with you for years and years and years and years to come. Thanks for caring about what we say, and please, as an industry, you know, as an industry, we need to stand proud. We need to be clear, and we need to be driven toward providing the best service in the most safe way going forward. Thanks, everyone.